Welcome. Welcome to this moment, to our breath. Maybe uncross your legs, sit a little bit straighter, and check in with yourself, how you're feeling in this moment. If you're willing to explore self-compassion, self-empathy, and self-responsibility without self-blame, self-guilt, self beaten up, self throwing ourselves under the bus, all those things. And noticing when that happens as a form of self-empathy. Ah, you know, you write it down, you make note of it, you harvest the needs from any of those situations, particularly when you're beating yourself up. That's the worst. And it's part of how I'll talk about self-empathy a lot, and not how it relates to a group. And you can be fortunate to be in a family that's loving, in a community that's loving, and a relation, the whole, the group dynamics and how to bring self-compassion into that as you're working through the daily like meetings or gatherings or things like that. It all starts with self-responsibility. If I'm not balancing out my own nervous system, if I can't find an internal quiet off and on during interaction, that doesn't have to be for the whole interaction. And it comes from developing this inner stillness that I can hold simultaneously while I'm listening to somebody and saying, tell me more. With authenticity, I do want to hear more because I want it to go in a way that I can understand it, and while holding myself with love. So even in like, we're all, human. If you're human, you're going to get triggered. You're not doing anything wrong. You're doing something human. And my beloved Robert would say, yippee, I get to work on something. So far, I'm not to that point. And what I do is I start off with myself. And if I don't start off with myself, I won't be able to sleep at night. And instead of getting up and focusing on other people, I focus on myself. That's always a sign for me that, oh, honey, you need more self-empathy. The whole time it's ways of just settling my nervous system. When I go off spinning, I say, and what is your feeling in your body? That's what I mean by self-responsibility. What's happening inside this thing, this organism that is having a different experience from anybody else in this group? I want to start with that in self-empathy. I am having a different experience, and it's okay. Of course, you're having a different experience based on, when you were 7 years old, when you were 5 years old. I went back to yesterday my house where I was 5 just to help process some stuff. And it's beautiful saying, oh yeah, of course, this is the way I am. And once I feel, usually if I have a sleepless night, though, in the morning I'll wake up and reach out to 3 people for empathy. Now, the choice of people is important. Number one, they're going to be people outside of your group, if possible. It's not always possible. There's 2 reasons for that. I only want my feelings and needs validated, not my thoughts. And it's easier for people outside of the group because they have their own experience, and our natural, like, we gravitate to people that are going to validate our stories, and that's going to happen in a group because everybody gets triggered. So stay away from anybody in the group. It's not going to be helpful. And second reason is even if my empathy buddy validates my feelings and needs exclusively, they may pick up on residual resentment against the person I was triggered by. And I don't want that. That is not going to serve the group. And I can give you 100 examples of when I see that happen, or whether it's often when I suspect it happens. So these three people, I start off saying, listen, my main concern, I may be venting about this person, but I am hoping that you will, at certain times, validate my feelings and needs, but not my story about this other person. I start off each conversation saying, this is my main objective here, not to feel better, to really come to my body, my feelings, my needs. Because otherwise, I'm not going to be able to interact cleanly with the group. I'm not going to be able to separate myself. I'm going to be going off into my reactions of things, this is not my mother, this is not my big sisters. That'll happen to me in a group unless I have a real clean awareness of what's mine without blame. That is not helpful. So make sure that you talk to people that are going to really support your aliveness, not your judgment of others. And make sure they don't get, because you're going to feel better after their empathy and you won't have any problems with this person. But sometimes there's some stickiness with the other person. So, and then before any meeting, when I see that, go to the group again, I make sure that when I'm in a good space, I reach out or I let them know something's happening, and I'll get back to them, or reach out when you have time. Something, I let them know as soon as I can that something's going on with me and I'm really trying to take care of it before interacting with you. So, without, if you can do that, you don't have to do that. If you love and trust the person enough, you can start by saying that. Regardless, before any meeting, if I'm triggered by somebody before the next meeting, I want to bring them up to date on the magical mystery tour that I went through. This is what happened. And because sometimes when things like this happen, they open up other things that you can talk before the meeting and try to get settled, not like logistical stuff, just other times that you maybe have been triggered and you didn't feel comfortable for some reason saying it. So meeting a person before the next group meeting, I think is really essential. And I'm talking about like a family group, like a family reunion. And you don't wait to the family reunion to deal with, uncle, you know, whatever this person is. I don't want to, again, make up stories that aren't there, but I think you know what I mean. I mean, we all do it. It's a common pattern. But this process helps me to have a high regard for them and to realize that they're doing the best they can. They're doing the best they can to meet their needs in every moment. I don't have to understand their needs. It helps in dealing with the group. But it helps me in having a high regard for them as a human being just like me. It's really important. And then if you could bring this process to any groups that you're in, I think that it can help them. And it's a skill that takes time. I was taught how to beat myself up, not how to just take responsibility for what my internal process is, or to attack other people if I'm feeling uncomfortable. So it's a process that you have to kind of unravel because there's a lot. We're going against the stream here, to say the least. We're going against the stream. So please do what you can to unravel those enemy images. And I hope this is helpful. This is helpful to me to say it over and over again, to reiterate how important, if like, God, can you imagine if everybody in the government did this process before going into a vote? That, I mean, if peace were as profitable as war, can you imagine the world we could live in? So let's keep doing it one breath at a time, and thanks for listening.